Hi, I'm Jamie Stegmeyer, and you're listening to Board Chitless.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Board Chitless. I'm Leki, and this week we're joined by some very special guests. We've got the return of Darren Marks, the graphic design extraordinaire of board games notable such as The Gloom of Kilforth and 1066, Tears to Many Mothers, and the upcoming Lifeform, all from Hall & Nothing Productions. Hey there, Daz.
Hello there.
Excellent. Excellent banter. This is why we wanted you back. We're also joined by Board Chitless's #1 fan who's made a journey all the way from Dubai just to be here tonight because he won a competition to come and meet Tristan. Not really, it's Sam's brother.
Say hello, Dad.
And we won't let him out of the house.
Hello.
The banter.
Thank you for having me. Spinosaurus Rex.
As always, I'm joined by... You can do yourself.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Tristan.
And
Sam.
Wicked. It was half an intro. It was like we've had a bit of time off. It was okay. I'm going to give myself 5 out of 10 for that one.
easing back into it.
Definitely. This week we've been playing Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. It's the new tongue twister by Stonemaier Games and a collaboration with Bezier Games. It's exactly how it sounds. It's the two games Between Two Cities and the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. We also played, but not tonight, a little time ago, Dragonfire from Catalyst Games. We'll get into that a little bit afterwards. So we'll just get into it, shall we? We'll just play a bit of music and then jump into Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Yay! Okay. Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. We need some sort of acronym for this.
Just rolls off the tongue.
BTCMCMKL. How can we? Should we call it Between Two Castles so people don't?
I think
castles.
for the rest of this podcast we've established what we're talking about, so we'll just call it castles.
So, I think if we call it castles and pull my headphones out. So I think if we call it castles, people might get confused with the previous title, Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which we don't want to do. So we'll call it Between Two Castles. Is everyone happy with that? Yes.
Mad King Ludwig.
Yes.
Everybody has to refer to the full name whenever they talk about
required.
it.
Ludwig's Castles.
Between Ludwig's castles.
Between two of Ludwig's castles.
So the work it's a work in progress of how we're going to make a shorthand of this, but it is essentially a tile drafting game where you have to build a castle between two other players.
You have to build 2 castles.
You have to build 2 castles with 2 other players as a bit of a collaboration. The twist is that you're not allowed to talk to either of them whilst you're picking your tiles, and then you can openly discuss once they've been revealed where you're going to put them and how much you hate the other person for picking their tile or how much you love them for picking the tile. It changes literally from second to second. We played a couple of games of it, didn't we? It seats up to 7 people. Plays in about half an hour to 45 minutes, I think it says on the box. It might have gone a little bit longer.
45 to 60 on the box. I think we went a little bit long just about feeling our way through it.
Especially the first game.
Yeah, especially your turn, so.
Yeah. AP.
But it's a good fun short game. What do you reckon?
Yeah, should we start with the components, which from Stonemaier Games are always sexy. And what I really like about this, I think it comes with 1 million tiles, and there's a plastic box that stores them beautifully, and it's got a lid that keeps them all perfectly set and ready to go. So as soon as you finish and tied it away, the game's instantly ready to go next time. I love the tile art is fantastic, and the plastic storage trays are really clever.
So it's come with its own little hobby box.
Yeah.
That's the highlight.
Yeah, I don't need to go to Home Bargains for this one game, for the hobby box, because it's all in there.
It is nice, and it's a nice heavy gauge of plastic as well, isn't it? Yeah. It's vacuum forming at its best, probably.
Yeah. And the tile art is really sweet. And there's, as Daz pointed out whilst we were playing, there's some quite nicely sort of named rooms, like the scythe room, which has scythes in it. Which is obviously clear reference to the board game Viticulture.
Yeah, there's a couple of Easter eggs snuck in there as well, isn't it? And there's I got the Hall of Ghosts, which was pretty cool. It was a hall of mirrors, but full of ghosts as well.
They were coming out of mirrors, though. I noticed. I think I might be wrong.
They definitely were.
Yeah.
And also, Raphael played early at the chocolaterie, which was like a fountain of chocolate, but like a life-size fountain of chocolate. You could actually imagine that.
Yeah.
The Mad King Ludwig, the Swan King, as he was sometimes known, would really have gone for one of those if he was more in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gameplay itself, it's sort of
Back on track.
Decent.
It whips around pretty quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, you start the game. You draw 9 tiles, and you're going to pick 2 that you put down in front of you, and you pass the rest of them on to the next player, and then everybody reveals the 2 tiles they picked. They put 1 in the castle on the left, 1 in the castle on the right, and the idea is you're trying to make both those castles as cool as possible, because the winner of the game is going to be the person whose worst castle scores higher than anybody else's. So you want to make them both as kick-ass as each other. And it's quite a fun little thing, building that castle and trying to find all the ways. The way you put the tiles together combos points, so it's a point salad basically.
Yeah.
But it's a proper brain burner trying to figure out where all the tiles go. And if you put a corridor next to this room, then it'll score extra points. And if you put a basement under this one and then build bedrooms on top of it, you can stick a tower on top and that'll score points. And there's all these cool little sort of tile laying combos.
Yeah, plans have to be quite fluid, don't they, really?
Extremely.
Yeah, I've lost count of the amount of times that I thought I was going to put tiles in one place to score loads of points and then completely forgot about it because I picked up something slightly different the next turn.
Yeah.
And it all just went out the window.
I quite like the way the tiles, the points driven. It's all there's just no words on any of the tiles. It's just all icon driven.
Except for the name of the room.
Yeah, but that's just
The name of the room is flavor text, and the only other word you see is per.
Yeah, or connected
1 point
or whatever.
per.
Yeah.
So it's almost like no words at all, which makes it.
Yeah.
Language isn't really a barrier, which is, I suppose, it's quite a good thing as well.
How quickly did you guys, or how easily did you find it to pick up the rules?
Yeah. Not very.
To put it another way,
Dan, you've not played with us for a while. What did you think?
Second, I think we played 3 games. Third attempt, I got the rules. First attempt, I had no clue what was going on.
By the third game, you'd figured it out.
Third game, I figured it out. Still wasn't even close to becoming anywhere near the leading contender for victory. And I think I dragged down my compatriots in the process as well. But
thanks for that.
I think you realise that everyone, there's 5 of us playing,
Yeah.
and all 5 were guilty or susceptible. We were all party in each other's victory. So it wasn't just the people either side of you. It was how they linked with their people either side of them. So it's actually, you're playing with everyone, even though you're just playing with the people next to you, which I didn't realise until I'd lost 3 games in a row. So
It's this weird collaborative, competitive approach, which I think was pretty unique. I've not played either of the other games. I'll ask you about that in a second, Leki, because I know you have. But I like that you're collaborating with the people on either side of you to make those castles as good as possible. That it's your vested interest to make them brilliant, because you can't abandon one and make the other good, because you'll lose. So you're collaborating with each other, but you want to beat the other guys as well.
I feel like you're getting cheated on by other members of the team as well.
Constantly.
And in some ways you are.
to be on my castle only.
There was some pretty underhand tactics going down. Like the first game we played, it was full 7 players. We're playing Raphael, and it was between me and Daz. And I decided very early on in the game I was going to try and hog as much of his attention as possible, and it worked up to a point. And then Daz in the second round managed to get his attention back and managed to get all his dungeon cards on one plane of his castle, and I had none.
Yeah, it's not very nice getting a cold shoulder from
No.
your so-called partner when you're
boy.
Yeah, Daz.
when you're getting really into a castle and you've got this amazing multiplier going on and he's not even looking in your direction.
Yeah.
But then, the
Sounds like most nights out.
but that shifted, and Leki felt that icy cold shoulder towards the end. But
I did.
you still won.
Well, yeah, but
My
you know, there's no.
guidance,
Well, you know, it's just skillful play at the end of the day, I'm sure.
But yeah,
Skillful fluking.
No, yeah, totally.
Was it satisfying, the sense of building this castle and making it bigger and better? And cooler looking.
With some pretty crazy results as well. Like, I think at one point we all had a castle that looked like it was so top heavy, it was going to collapse. It was just all towers. I remember making a castle that was basically, it was just like a little round ball of rooms that were all interconnected but didn't really go anywhere. And I made another castle with Sam, which was really strange. It would have been a weird promenade to walk through. So it was like gallery, garden, courtroom, garden, ballroom, garden, fountain.
Basically a village.
Yeah. But there's this weird sort of like just a series of bungalows that you have to move through to get to this castle complex.
Yeah, I don't think realism is an issue. Also, all of those areas are exactly the same size.
Yeah, and it wears its heart on its sleeve with it in terms of theme. Like, it's all very much tongue-in-cheek, and it's nice and light and hearty. It's got that very much like a sort of pantomime feel to the sort of Baroque era.
It has a very lovely cover as well.
Exactly. Yeah, the art in general is just lovely. It just like seems like Stonemaier Games, doesn't it? It's just like the production quality is brilliant. It all feels lovely and nice. I would say that we didn't mess up the rules massively, but we were meant to stay silent when you're picking the tiles in order to keep the game from flowing quite quickly. And it wasn't until like game 3 that we really.
I think we got that by the second game.
Up to it. Yeah.
I think some of us got it by the second game.
I think some of us just bend those rules a little bit more than others.
And then in terms of everyone having a second castle to worry about, I was worried when we went into this game that like sort of quarterbacking might be an issue. Like, more dominant players might just be like, this is what we're doing on both the castles. But because you only ever have a short stack of tiles in hand at one point, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
And your teammate can just be like, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to put this here anyway.
And you're not really aware of what they have. Oh, actually, there is a hand. So in the first round, you passed all your tiles to the left.
Yeah.
And then when you've run out of the 8 tiles there, in the second round, you pass to the right. So you have a little bit of knowledge of what you're giving to your teammate. But like you say, I think everybody's so obsessed with just trying to maximise the points, it'd be really difficult to quarterback and boss someone around.
And it's sort of more fun when it is more predictable as well. Like when you just get sort of like crazy combos going on that you didn't really think about beforehand. Yeah. And there's so many ways that you can score points. I remember just thinking that at one point I had to have a corridor above and below one of my rooms, and then Sam was like, "Yeah, well, we can just snake all these kitchens together and score points that way." I was like, "Wicked, yeah, let's go for it." And it's just nice and lovely. I'd play this game again. I'm not sure about the replayability of it. In terms of as it is between the two core games, I've not played the Castles of Mad King Ludwig, but I have played Between Two Cities. And it plays a lot like Between Two Cities in the way that you're negotiating with your partner about where you're placing the tiles and what they might want to look out for in future and what you might want to play there in the future. So you're sort of like planning the castle ahead of time. Whereas the actual way that the tiles play, like the set collection in Between Two Cities, is a lot different. You're kind of like having a residential zone, you're zoning off a commercial area, you're trying to leave a little bit at the edge for parkland. And I'd imagine that Castles of Mad King Ludwig, from what I've heard of it, that's just very much like, here's a load of crazy tiles that you're just going to kind of make a hodgepodge of point collection, and it was just going to lead a really crazy castle at the end of it. But it'd be interesting to see what people that played, Castles of Mad King Ludwig would think of it.
So do you think that the use of certain restrictions on placing tiles, like the basement ones and the gardens and the towers, is more tied in with the Between Two Cities compared to the Castles of Mad King Ludwig?
I don't know really, because I think with Castles of Mad King Ludwig, there's a sort of layout that you have to follow, which means that you kind of, you're going to end up with something that resembles a castle, but not a castle that anyone in the right mind would build whilst they were sober.
Like an Escher. Yeah. It's a cultural interlude there.
Excellent.
That's an idea for a game.
Yeah.
A castle you can't physically build.
Staircase of Escher.
When you lose perspective like Escher.
Profound.
Imagine the king would be some Bowie-esque.
Well, it was
Goblin King.
Yeah, it was a real guy that was obsessed with making beautiful palaces. So the Disney Palace of Snow White or Cinderella was based on one of his castles in Austria. It's very.
That's Ludwig, not
Ludwig. Yeah.
His castle's never made it beyond the planning stage.
It never got beyond the
Couldn't get out to the second floor.
Yeah. Always collapsing the staircase.
You look for the second floor, you find yourself in the basement. But yeah, summary thoughts. What did we think?
I enjoyed it. I picked up the rules pretty quickly. Maybe after the second game, I felt pretty comfortable knowing what I was doing. But I liked the challenge of the constantly shifting focus between your two castles, because it's easy to get a nice idea on one, and then you got the person to the left, you tap him on the shoulder saying, right, can we talk about this? Oh yeah, there's that one as well. So yeah, challenging in that respect, but yeah, pretty enjoyable. I would play it again.
I think that having not played for a long time, it was quite quick to get to. Second game, started to get it. Third game, understood it. Still realised that everyone was working out points at the end, thinking, I actually could have doubled my points quite easily there. So I reckon after playing 10 games, you probably actually understand fully the concept of the points, rather than just building a castle that looks really cool.
To be fair, the last game we used to play before you went away was Through the Ages, which is just about the most complex game I've played.
Yeah, and it took me the whole time of my lifespan playing games to understand it, and then I disappeared.
That's why you went to Dubai, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, exactly. So no, I think you could still play in terms of longevity. You could keep going for a while because you'd actually understand how you could win it quite easily. Because I don't know what our points would be in relation to the average point score, but I'm pretty sure mine was below average. I don't know if there is an average, but I'm pretty sure 4 is good.
They were sort of all over the shop. I think the first game I was in my mid to late 40s, and the second game was like low 50s, and then the last.
It's just really bad aging. This.
It really was, yeah. Like that's how I felt by the time we finished.
I reckon you could get a 70 in there if you played a few more games.
Oh, easily. And one thing that I noticed as well when it was everyone scores the castle to their left, so to make totting up easier because otherwise you'd be there all night. And when I was doing mine and Dan's castle, I realised that we'd missed out on, but like a bonus card for having like courtyards or I think it was like the workshop rooms. We missed out on having a bonus for our garden, so you get an extra fountain. And also like another extra room as well. So in the end, we missed out on like 20 points that I managed to retcon in, and by asking really nicely and just chucking them where they'd fit. And if we didn't have those, we'd be at like 41. So it'll be interesting if you could like audit. I mean, it's not interesting. You'd never.
I think
audit
cheating gets you places in this
game.
Cheating
definitely gets you places. But if you're not
prospers.
on it, but if you're not on it, if you're not constantly checking how many rooms you've picked up and that you've picked up a set of 3 or you've got a set of 5, one particular room. And if you let a few of those slip by, you can easily miss out on a load of points. And it'll be interesting in the first game if, like, say, Sam or Daz had scored an extra 15 points and just forgotten about it and just not noticed when he was scoring up. It could happen.
Yeah.
So you really do, although it's a simple game to learn and it's very easy to play, you really do have to have your wits about you in terms of what you're actually scoring, because you could miss out on loads of points, and it's easily done.
We did that.
But you wouldn't encourage people to check theirs, because if you're in a winning position, you're not exactly going to say, can you just check yours to make sure I did win?
Yeah.
But in every game we've played so far, someone's realised they've got a set of 3, and then everyone's looked down and gone, oh yeah, we've all got sets of 3.
It's like
you get bonus for a set of 3, don't
you?
Yeah.
So,
another tile.
but everyone forgets it, and then suddenly you get reminded. I mean, it probably would have been useful to have some way of recognising that, a marker to say you've got this, because
like 3 tiles that are all the same colour, for example.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But once you've claimed it, you get to the end of the game and you're like, have I claimed that one? I can't remember if I've done those 3. I've got these 3 as well, and it suddenly becomes a bit of a memory test. But
no, totally. I'd say this is a great game for like a caravan holiday or, like board game cafe. You just need something that's going to take like an hour and a half to play. Throw it in the middle of the table, mix it up, and you can literally learn it by reading the rules.
And literally mix it up.
Literally mix it up. It's always good fun as well, just like grabbing tiles and centering tiles.
I think it falls into that sort of 7 Wonders category of like nice looking, fairly not complex but simple to play game that would kickstart at night without probably normally being the game that you would play all night, maybe.
Yeah, Board Game Geek lists it at 2.75 on the complexity scale.
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
That's
200.
Somewhere around average.
So
about 200.
Was that like 55%?
Yeah.
So it's it's not overly light, it's not overly complex.
It's not overly complex, and the rules are an actual dream. They're dead easy to read and process.
Yeah.
And in fact, all the rules for the game are on about 3 pages, and the rest of the rule book is like explanations for the different tile types, which really, once you've got past like one of those, you get it. You just understand how they work. So in that respect, the barrier to entry is super low. Components are lovely. But yeah, again, it's one of those ones that I think would start an evening's play rather than be the feature of maybe. But it's, you know, you play this and then you crack outside.
Moving on to the second game, we played last week Dragonfire from Catalyst Games. It's a licensed Dungeons and Dragons game, and it's basically I'm going to throw myself out here. It's going to be a sort of RPG adventure that's
deck builder.
Deck builder stuff. Someone else want to explain what it is, because I don't know.
This is a reissue of Shadowrun Crossfire, which is the futuristic D&D version of this game, which played 2 to 4 players and seems to be was a lot harder. I think they've gone easier on this. It's still quite a challenging game, but it's cooperative deck building adventure for 2 to 6 players. But the deck building is really interesting in this one because you have a tiny deck of cards, and when you gain cards, they go straight into your hand for use straight away, whereas normally you have to shuffle it around and wait a couple of turns to actually see the benefits of the move that you made 3 or 4 turns ago. And so this one reskins the whole Shadowrun Crossfire, and instead of cyborgs and internet and hacking and all that stuff, it's like classic Wizards, Dungeons and Dragons, and I was a rogue. We had warriors and priests and everything else, and we played the dungeon crawl mission, so you go in and kill monsters, and it's quite mathy, and Jackie described it as colour matching. Because basically you draw encounters from the deck, like usually monsters that attack the party, and you share them out semi-equally between all the players, and you all just have to bash the monsters. And to do that, you colour match. So you play a card that has a colour, and you try and match it to the different colours that the monster has.
Yeah.
But I think it does go a little bit deeper than that, because you have like cool sort of loads of different cool effects on the cards that you gain from the market as you go.
Yeah, there's always that secondary effect, which is always helpful in deck builders, isn't there?
And there's the locations as well, which kind of...
so you physically move to a location and you have to like attack your way out of that as well, don't you?
Yeah, it's like you get bottlenecked into like little corridors and stuff, and they'll deal damage too if you end up being left in them.
Yeah.
So you have to jump in and help your party out as well.
And you can only move once, can't you? So you jump in, hit something, then you're stuck for a turn. So you'll take some damage.
When everyone else leaves it and leaves you on your own.
Yeah. There's a lot of fleeing.
I was a rogue. Where's my job?
It works well though, because it's like as a sort of like D&D simulation, it works pretty well because you kind of like managing your HP, you're working out who can afford to take a few hits and who can dish out a few more. Your wizard's always useless until murder that massive monster that you didn't see come in, and then do nothing fireball for ages. Yeah, exactly. And the marketplace was quite cool as well. You can save up like XP points, or you can spend them on like little sort of like one-off cards, which will use quite a lot. Or you can hope that you can like earn quite a few for like big attacks.
Yeah, those 10 cost cards that are like game changers.
Yeah,
those are good fun to play, but they take a lot of saving up to get to. But it's the difference between like wiping the floor with the monsters that you engage with and just knocking a couple of health off a monster sort of thing.
Like the experience was it's a little bit rando, but it worked out pretty well for the game. So each monster's worth like 5-6 experience points, or if they're really rubbish, 3 or 4. And so if there's like 4 players, then each player will get an experience point for like each. So if it's worth 4,
points
you'll get one
dished out, aren't they?
Yeah,
clockwise order.
Clockwise order. So you could have just be responsible for killing a monster, but because it wasn't at your location, everyone else could potentially get an experience point, and then it run out by the time it's got to you, so you don't get any.
Was it another person that killed it?
No, I think it was the person whose location it was in.
Yeah, so it is.
Oh, okay.
So if it's worth 6 points, everyone gets a point if you've got 6 players.
I thought it was the person who was facing it at the time.
No. So whoever's facing it might not get anything.
Yeah.
Because someone else has killed it.
That's an interesting point about 6 players as well, because we actually had a full house, which we don't normally have 6 players, but what are your thoughts on how that plays out? Because normally with that many people, you feel like, especially in a co-op game where you're waiting your turn to play, normally it's like, there's a lot of downtime between turns, I personally felt pretty invested in what everybody else was doing, and a lot of the monster effects and stuff would hit you in somebody else's go. You know, the game was sort of dishing out creatures that would attack 2 or 3 characters at once, and being like sharing a location and stuff had an impact, or like trying to plan, you know, you go in that location so I can get out because I'm injured, sort of thing. What did you think about the sort of synergies between moves and taking turns?
It was all about the assist cards, wasn't it, while you were waiting for people. So it'd be the classic, can anyone assist for might or for a spell? And everyone says, no.
Not assist.
Loads of interaction.
yeah, totally.
I thought the interaction was pretty good.
No, it was.
The assists are more powerful, actually, aren't they? If you get a card that has an assist effect, you can play outside of your turn to help somebody else, and most of the time they'd be more beneficial to assist somebody than to play yourself, which again encourages cooperation between the team, which is quite a nice effect, I think, and it does keep you engaged. It's one of these weird games where I like the idea of the theme, but I don't feel the theme as much when I play it, but the mechanics are good enough that it keeps me really engaged.
The theme was there to the point where you were playing a rogue and you were up against like a bugbear. That was it.
Yeah,
like the rest of it, you can swap it out easily.
I think there are sort of story intros and stuff, but we might have skipped through.
I don't think we skipped it because I think we read them out. I think it's just a sort of game where like it doesn't really stick with you. Like
the actual sort of
story.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like you're moving into a sort of like, you know, dungeon crawl sort of quest.
Yeah.
But like it's as opposed to when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and like it's your character and there's a bit of role play and a bit of banter back and forth, and then, you know, you're really invested in like what your spells are and stuff. This is just like you say, feels a bit more like, you know, colour matching. You still know what you're attacking. For me, the meat of the game is kind of the conversation between everyone discussing what your battle plan is and who's going to go where at what time and which monsters you're going to take out in what order, really.
Isn't that standard for like modern D&D games, that the theme is not really very integral into the game? A lot of them these days, and Shadowrun Crossfire as well.
The D&B board games, do you mean?
D&B.
The D&D.
The bed and breakfast board games.
What a time to develop a stutter.
But
you mean the board games?
The board games and Lords of Waterdeep.
Yeah.
So the theme doesn't really come through very much, but it's there if you want to replay the text. So it's fairly common that. But yeah, also with Shadowrun Crossfire, which this is its spiritual sister too, the theme doesn't come through there at all when we're playing Shadowrun Crossfire, I don't think.
I think it's about the same as this, to be honest. It's
exactly
the
my
same
point.
System. Right. You're aware of it, but you don't sort of drill down into the story of like, I'm going into this room, I'm going to rescue this guy and open that treasure chest, and then, goblins bring it. There's none of that. It's literally, I've got a hill giant in front of me, it's going to take me X number of turns to defeat him, but I'm going to have to do it by doing this, that, and the other.
I can afford to take a couple of hits off this and to kill out that because I know that'll free you up to do this.
Yeah.
And it becomes more of a mechanical thing.
Oh yeah, totally.
What did you think, Gaz?
Sorry, I was just thinking about, did we mention the...
What game is this?
I've got the box here and I'm reading the back of it. But the Dragonfire cards, the ones that set the story, the modifier at the start of each round, there was... what potentially could have been a pretty nasty kind of modifier.
Yeah, you're right, and they kind of get worse the longer you leave them.
Sorry, I got distracted then because I was trying to find it on the back of the box.
Yeah, you're right. No, it's the mechanic that the game is named after. It's
Dragonfire,
you're right to bring it up. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Yeah, I wasn't getting at you from that point. Sorry, it sounded really like I sounded like such a dick. I'll rephrase it. What I mean is like you're right to bring that up as a mechanic because it's very important to the game. So much so they named the game after it, or vice versa.
Yeah, no, and those can be crucially punishing. Like in Shadowrun Crossfire, they felt a lot worse. Like every time you drew one in Shadowrun Crossfire, it would kick in and kill you. In this, we drew a lot of cards, and it could have just been luck, but which we sidestepped, which didn't affect the monsters in play or whatever. But when they do kick in, it's like you can't use assists this round, or you can't. All of the blue monsters get stronger or do more damage, and so they really can up the ante. And the longer you play for, the worse they get because they sort of stack. and they have a level, and that level number dictates how bad the next card that's coming is going to be, and so that's a really nice sort of tension builder as well.
It was like if one of them is left out for 7 rounds, it'll pretty much just kill everyone instantly.
Yeah.
And we got quite adept at like working out which ones are going to cause us the most trouble. There was one, I think, where it was if you kill a particular type of monster, then you draw from that monster's deck. And if you draw the same colour, so if it's like a magical version of that monster, then that one's going to come out at you. So it's basically just replaces itself, and it's like a 1 in 4 chance of it.
Yeah, those ones that I kept calling a salad. Was it?
Slad.
Absolute slad.
Yeah, and there were some old school D&D monsters coming out as well. Like going back to like the theme of it, there was like the big gelatinous cube that just comes down the corridor and like liquidizes everyone.
Yeah, and you get items when you kill it because all this stuff comes out.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. As right. For the Dungeons and Dragons games, like the board games, that have been licensed by Wizards of the Coast, I think this is probably one of the more complicated ones. Like there's loads of Waterdeep, which is like quite Euro-y, but like, I think that's probably quite easy to learn. This one felt like it had more going on that you had to keep on top of whilst the game was actually in play, in terms of like the Dragonfire cards, particular monster effects, particular character effects. You have to keep an eye on your deck for the big cards that have the really good assists, like you mentioned before.
Yeah, and the whole deck building element is kind of new to Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it was.
I don't think they've done it really before, have they?
It featured in the other game that we played a few weeks ago.
Tyrants
of
of
the Underdark.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
It featured
Which
in
is a
Tyrants
great
of
game.
the Underdark, which was more of a sort of like strategy, move pawns around a board at the same time, whereas this was more of a chat to each other, tactical deck builder, wasn't it?
Yeah, he plays one character in this.
Yeah.
I suppose it had like reminiscent of Warhammer Quest, the card game. What was it? Is that what it was called?
It was.
Yeah, it kind of reminiscent of that. Of you each take a character. Obviously, the gameplay itself was very different with choosing action. You can't do the same action twice, but the feel of it,
You got the same vibe.
Yeah.
I'd say that I enjoyed this more. I think it's just probably because it's a newer game. Like you're saying, it's based on like Crossfire, Shadowrun Crossfire, but to me it feels like they've brushed that up as well. Like it feels a bit slicker.
Yeah, one of the things as well that we've not mentioned yet is, and that we didn't do actually, we played that as a one-shot scenario, but what you do in this game is once you've finished, you get XP and you level up your character and you get stickers that you slap on your character sheet and you start to personalise them and you add abilities that let you start with an extra card or an extra gold or extra hit points each time. And you can all level up as a group. And I really, given our group, I don't see us playing campaign games that often. I know we've just done the Scythe campaign, but if we were to keep playing this one, it would be kind of cool because you do get to feel a bit of growth and see your characters grow. And Shadowrun Crossfire, it was artificially staggered so that you very rarely got to grow and put those stickers on. You had to get tons of points. You'd get points for you get like 1 point for losing a round, but you need like 10 points to get the next sticker, and then if you got that sticker, you need 20 points to get the next one. So you could literally play 10 or 15 or 20 games and not see any growth. And I think they've corrected that in this, and I really would like to look into that a little bit more and see like the sort of campaign game character progression thing.
Yeah, I'd never say that I really want to grind a board game for like character progression.
It has to be sort of one that keep you coming back for the gameplay. But luckily, I do think that Shadowrun Crossfire and this have that sort of addictive gameplay. If you're like, just one more round, let's just see, let's max some more icons and colours.
You do know that means that when we do start a campaign, because we did so well in this sort of like test run, we're going to get minced.
Oh, we get crucified.
Yeah, it's just mulligan it.
There was a few close calls, wasn't there?
Oh yeah.
We won the scenario, but it took us like hours, didn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't.
6 of us.
It wasn't an easy game to win, but I feel like
we were all on low health, like 1 or 2 HP by the end.
Yeah, I feel like my character was particularly lucky because they still had about 5 health left. It started on 10, and we just didn't put in too much danger.
To me, it felt like we all lost almost all of our health in the first couple of rounds, and then we'd bought some stuff in and became almost untouchable.
But and it's also because you were playing a wizard like a frontline fighter as well.
I was a rogue.
You were what? You were a rogue?
Yeah.
You just had magic spells all the time.
I was a tanking wizard in rogue.
Wow.
How do you play a rogue normally?
I take it back. I've completely. I remember you just like throwing spells left, right, and centre because you were collecting most of the same cards that Daz.
Rogue's got to do what a rogue's got
Daz
to do.
was a sorcerer.
I was a warlock.
A warlock, yeah. Okay, so
He was showing me how it's done without the sort of skills to do it, but still doing it somehow.
yeah.
I threw a few magic missiles around.
Where did a rogue ever have magic missiles?
It wasn't.
You broke the
skill
game,
specific.
Sam. You
It
broke
wasn't
the
skill
game.
specific.
Oh, what little theme we thought it had is just gone up in smoke. But it was decent. But to be fair, your character was on his own in quite a hefty location for a while before we decided to rescue it.
I mean, before someone else came in and
That'll
ran
teach you
away.
for wizarding.
Yeah, totally.
Show off.
I was thinking.
But that was the game started, and we were stuck in those locations. We were all at the basic cards at first.
Yeah.
So we were just taking heaps of damage initially.
Yeah.
Then when we started getting these cards and we could beat stuff, we were the first round, I think, or first couple of rounds, we were taking just one damage a time or one level of damage a time.
Yeah.
Taking these cards.
Yeah.
But it got to the end game, and each of us was just killing stuff left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it scaled well, or it might be the number of players or something, but it did feel like once you got over that initial hurdle, it became a lot simpler.
But that's I think one of the huge appeals of this game particularly is that you start out with the worst deck. It's like you've got 7 or 8 cards and each of them does one type of point of damage. So you feel like you can't do anything. You're like, can you help me with this monster? Because I can't do nothing.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, by the end of it, you're like, 15 fireballs, and
Yeah.
like putting a smackdown on. So you do, over the course of a couple of hours, go from like 0 to hero. And I think that's exactly what a game like this should capture. And if it's staggered it more and you're still like, oh, I don't feel like I'm doing anything, after hours of play, that would really hurt this gameplay.
It was the experience again, though. Like, I remember, like, by the 3rd round, 4th round, well, we used to think, it'll take me ages to save up, like, 6 experience points to buy a particular card. You'd look at the table, you have none, and then 2 minutes later you look down and there's, like, 8 experience points there, because people have dealt with other monsters.
Other people are earning UXP on their goes,
But then you're investing that in like decent cards, which then earns other people XP, and it's like a little machine sort of like starts cranking over. Then
Do you think this would benefit from a skill specific card? So I know when you choose a class, the basic cards that you get are specific. So you might, like, the rogue's got more roguey cards, and the warrior's got more fighting, the warlock's got more spells. But do you reckon it would benefit from a rogue specific card, like
that's what
Legendary?
You get to. So with the XP, with the campaign, it gets to the point where you can buy a card before the game begins and stuff, so you can specialise in your colour. And
I was thinking more along the lines of like legendary encounters and stuff where you've got one specific to
there was
whoever you take.
there was like my I just had a straight up fighter. So I was buying all the might cards. So that was stuff like shield and
so that was all
assault
publicly
and
available,
rally.
wasn't it?
Yeah, and then the roguey ones were more like the opportunity attack. So they're all most of the cards.
Your deck is built on your character classes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So as a fighter, you had like 4 fighter cards, whereas I'd have 4 roguey cards, and Daz would have 4 wizardy cards. So your deck is definitely built based on your actual character class.
But then, like Tristan's saying, there's very specific skills in D&D, such as like a rogue would have sneak attack or like up close and deadly or assassinate or something.
Yeah,
so you might pick those up.
Think about it. There was a number of the market cards that you could only buy in specific circumstances. So,
like if you played a rogue card.
Yeah, so a lot of the rogue cards you had to have played a rogue card. Some of the wizard cards you had to be a wizard just to buy them at all. And there was some other ones like that.
Yeah.
So they did sort of lead you down a path, I suppose, into what you were getting.
Yeah, but then like it was open so that you could do some interesting things like you did with like multi-classing. So a rogue throwing out magic missiles, so you could like attack multiple targets.
There was a lot of blue monsters out.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. I was just so surprised.
I feel like you're really upset by this.
I'm not upset. It's yes, but
I think he's upset.
only because that you bought so many of them that I thought you were genuinely a wizard.
I think I bought one of them.
You used it.
He was hoping to see me flourish. It just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Picked up the slack.
It was good.
I would say, like, normally it says 60 to 90 minutes on the box, and you could probably get through that with 2 or 3 players. But with 6 players, it did take us like 3 hours to get through. But again, did feel engaged all the way through. I was, and quite excited to get that final finish and wipe the floor with the monsters in the last round.
Definitely, it's a full on co-op in terms of everyone's going to be shouting at each other and talking to each other and wondering what they're meant to be doing. And offering each
it's
other
not.
advice.
I wouldn't call it multiplayer solitaire. You're definitely involved in what everybody else is doing. And calling for help a lot. Because you will get, no matter how good, no matter how good your deck is, if you're one specific character type, even if you tried to branch out and take on like, a wizardy rogue or whatever, you're still not going to tick the boxes for all the different levels of damage that every monster needs, because they have like this huge mix. So you will need the fighter to come over and do the top level of damage, or the priest to come over and heal you and stuff like that. So it absolutely requires coordination. So even though it is colour matching or icon matching, the coordination and cooperative play is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I wouldn't necessarily let the Dungeons and Dragons licensing put you off if you're a big fan of like sort of cooperative games where it's more like breach and clear sort of stuff, where you've got like a bit of a problem in front of you and you've got to try and work out what to do about it. D&D fits it really well, but you'll really enjoy it either way. It's like if you like computer games where you raid, like Destiny, that sort of stuff, then you'd really enjoy a game like this. I think it kind of pulls off that sort of simulation for tabletop really well.
So my thoughts, Daz?
Yeah. When you, because it was most of our first time playing it. When you said it was 3 hours, it didn't feel like 3 hours, and. Yeah, you're right. It looked like it was going to be dead tough to start with, but the difficulty curve. I mean, it was a challenge, but you did find you were getting stronger as you went on, and we rode the sort of first sort of close near to deaths, rode the lightning sort of moments at the start, and then towards the end, I was sort of being able to afford those big cards in the market and get the satisfaction of watching Sam use my cards whilst I play.
Someone had to use them.
Whilst I play one green card. But I would be interested in playing the sort of continual, like the campaign version of it, and I could see how that could work really well. So definitely one I'd like to have a go at again, I think.
Cool.
My kid.
Sam?
Yeah. A fan. I think it's fairly simplistic, some of it, but I think what they've taken from various different sources is all gelled quite well together. I don't think the theme's particularly obvious, but I like that whole D&D theme anyway. So it doesn't detract from it at all. It just doesn't add a whole lot.
Yeah.
So it's down to the game itself, but it's one of the best games I've played in quite a while that's cooperative, and it truly feels cooperative.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of D&D, then the theme is really going to kind of like jump out at you, because to the point when a lot of the ability cards are based on like pretty minor mechanics from like D&D 4th edition.
That's it, because I never played D&D at all. The references just mean nothing to me, so it just becomes what the card mechanics are.
Yeah.
So I'm basing it purely on that. So the theme is there's Dungeons and Dragons.
Except when it's not dragons.
Slavs.
There's a dragon, Dragonfire, and a salad.
Sort of big toady things that might be magical.
Some jelly cubes as well.
Yeah.
But I still like that, But I don't get the in references, so maybe the theme's a bit lost on me because of that.
I see. Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, if you fancy a D&D adventure where rogue can just throw magic missiles around for no reason whatsoever, you'll really enjoy Dragonfire.
It's a lovely re-implementation of Shadowrun Crossfire.
It really is.
So much so that I couldn't choose a favourite out of the two of them, to be honest.
I could.
You could?
Dragonfire all the way.
Really?
Yeah. We played Dragon Run Crossfire.
Dragon Run Crossfire. That sounds amazing.
We played Shadowrun Crossfire a little while ago, just me and you. And I didn't struggle to kind of get through the sort of like the encounter, but I just struggled to kind of make sense of it.
Right.
And maybe because I've played loads of D&D in the past, the mechanics was kind of like, they were a lot easier to keep up with during this game. And I don't know if it's because, like I said, the source material has got a bit closer to my heart.
Theme's a bigger sell.
Or because they've brushed up the rules a bit more and it just plays a bit cleaner. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I obviously got this version because fantasy is my catnip. But I'd like the harshness of Shadowrun Crossfire, and it's also over dead quick. Like scenarios like 30 to 45 minutes. This one seemed meatier just because of the number of players, but I think it's an advantage that it takes up to 6 players, whereas Crossfire was only up to 4 players. But it does feel like they've tightened a few things and made it a bit more varied and interesting. Like the classes do feel a little bit different, whereas in Shadowrun Crossfire, I don't know. I didn't get the sense that they were as different, which is weird because you still got the sort of same makeup of cards and that. But yeah, it does feel like a few of the things feel cleaner and it feels a little bit easier, which is a good thing because Shadowrun Crossfire is incredibly like crazy difficult. You know, out of 10 games, we lost 8 in Shadowrun Crossfire. Okay. So,
might just nerfed it a little bit.
I definitely do want to play it more, and like Dal says, I'd love to like see the campaign mode in action a little bit.
Nice. Well, we should definitely give that a go. I think we'd really enjoy it. Well, there we have it. Right. Well, thanks very much to Daz and Dan for joining us.
Thank you.
No worries. And thanks very much for listening. We'll
thank you as well, Sam.
Yeah. Thank
you.
you.
Not much.
And thank you, Tristan.
Oh, thank you, Leki.
Oh, wonderful. What a lovely.
I love you guys.
Oh,
we're fond of
we
you.
tolerate you.
You're mostly acceptable.
And thanks very much for listening this week. We'll be back with you soon with more board game nonsense. And until then, we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.